and Breakdowns.
Welcome back to the Chill Sounds and Breakdowns podcast. We are on episode 98. I am just getting more and more excited of how close we're getting to 100. And I'm just like, we got a celebrity in the house, honestly. Because if you don't know this person or haven't seen them out at a show, like, then you haven't been going to shows because he's everywhere. But today we have the Moshing Bacon. What's going on, my guy?
What's up? How you doing?
Good. I'm glad you made it up here. You were telling me like about getting here and then making it halfway and realizing that you didn't have your actual bacon suit.
I had to check my trunk.
Had to check the trunk, which you'd say you got spare suits.
Yeah,
just in case you said 3.
Yeah, three suits. The original and then 2 spares I bought off of Amazon.
Nice. I'm gonna start at the beginning, like with this, like. How long have you been doing like the mosh? Because I've known you for like a few years now. I think maybe like a couple of years, but I know you've been doing it for like a while. So like, how did this all start, man?
So originally I was Mike Music, and it was during COVID. I wanted to do music reaction because I was like, I want to do YouTube, and I tried a gaming channel, didn't work out so well, and so I was like, what can I do that I love? And I was like, I love music, and all my friends are in bands, and I used to go to way too many shows. And so I was like, why not just review all their music? You know, I'm guaranteed to at least get a couple hundred views from my friends. And so I started doing that and realizing Mike Music never got views, and no one could search me because there's another couple hundred Mike Musics on the internet.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
So then I was like, I got to come up with a name or some sort of thing that could, like, you know, make me findable. And then I thought, well, what is everyone else doing on the internet for reactions? And so I was like, I don't want to be like them. I want to be different so I could stand out. So when someone at 3 a.m. sitting there like, you know, wondering what to watch, and they're choosing between me or someone else to who reacted to a song, they would choose me over them because, you know, I look cooler.
It seems like...
And clickbaity.
I mean, yeah, like to a degree, like it seems like you need something to stand out. Like you need to really like look into that. If you're looking to get like something, like some sort of traction and searchability, like you were saying, like you tried Mike Music and be like, oh, like it's going to take forever to find these. And I've had that happen with like bands and stuff like that, where I'm like trying to find them and then they have like the most basic like name or thing, and I'm like, dude, there's so many like search results on this. What's it called? Like SEO? SEO, yeah. Where you really like have to pay attention and be like, okay, what's gonna be the easiest thing? What hopefully nobody else has the same kind of name. Like it's weird to have to think about those things because sometimes you just find a name and you're like, oh, this is cool. Like I want to be named this, and then you realize like, oh shit, there's like 4 other ones. You know, like how's it? And then like I don't know, have you ever seen it like on some of the streaming platforms where like music will accidentally get combined with like different artists, but they have like similar names
like,
or whatever?
I was looking up old school artists, and I'm like, this is the hardcore band I love. Let's listen to their music, and then I'm like, wait, this is not them. Why is this dubstep in here?
I've had that happen a lot. Actually, a funny one that I had happen was, I just realized this is on the wrong thing. Yeah. I realized Animal Jam. Like, Animal Jam had the little, like, it's like a kid's game, like, not a cartoon, but it's like a game thing called Animal Jam, like in 2 words, but their stuff got mixed up for like forever. And I remember they were in here and they were telling us like, yeah, we had people like hating on us because we weren't the actual music from the game. We were like something, and you know, obviously something else, and they were getting combined and they were getting like hate comments from like kids. But yeah, so you started it just like really just trying to find some way to start like.
And then I was in my room. It was like really late. I was eating some bacon, and I thought, everyone loves bacon. What if I moshed in a bacon suit in my bedroom? You know, that'd be different.
Yeah.
So I went on Amazon, bought me a suit, and here I am today.
Yeah. But yeah, so you started with doing like music reactions, and you've like kind of spread into like different, like I've seen like you do like concert videography, just like show clips and stuff like that of stuff you go to.
Well, because like COVID ended, so I could start going to shows again, and I was like, I'm going to all these shows. Why not film it and post it? Like, if I'm already going to be here, why not show off these bands I love seeing?
Yeah.
So I decided, you know, I was like, I'm doing reactions. Those are easy. You know, reactions take, for me, sometimes between 10 to 15 minutes at most just to record and edit because they're so quick.
Yeah.
It's just cut and paste, and then, like, you know, you hit record. You check out the song for the first time, and you give your initial reaction, tell everyone how you thought, and then editing is just clip, and then you're done.
It's really, like I remember we did a few, and even I was just like, oh, it's just playing it. Once you figure it out, like how to get like whatever, like record it discreet. I think that was my biggest thing. I was like, oh, how do I make sure like the screen records and all this stuff? Because I messed it up. I did one for Dispositions for Toxin when it came out, and I screwed up like the audio for it, and then just like, well, it's fucking unusable, like or whatever. So I had to figure that out. But yeah, it's a simple edit. I feel like the hard part with reactions and keeping up with reactions is not listening to the song like right away and like having to save it until you like
that's
I need
my
to get to my
hardest
thing.
part because like I have homies that drop songs and I'm like, I really want to hear this, but I'm back 5 songs to react to, and I'm like, this is my favorite band, like. I'm so tempted, like, just skip, but, like, you know, I got to stay true to all my friends who request songs. Yeah. And I'm like, I'll do them first and then get to this new song I want to hear.
Do you ever get, with reactions, do you ever have a hard time, like, expressing, like, an honest opinion about, like, what you're watching? Like,
I mean, not really. Yeah. Like, I have a standard when I do music. Mm-hmm. Like, if people don't know, I'm a heavy Christian. Mm-hmm. So, like... There's one thing I'd say. If a song talks about Satan or Satanism or any of that, like, I cut that off. I'm just like, no, we're not doing that. Yeah. That's about it. Everything else, I give my honest opinion. Like, if I don't like it, I'm going to say I don't like it. But 90% of the time, I've never heard a bad song. Probably 99% of the time. Yeah. I've never had someone send me bad music.
That's very interesting.
Like, it's been crazy because, like, I'm just like, because I like to say I like to listen to everything, but... I know that's not true because there's some genres I'm just like, I can't. Yeah. But, like, I listen to most music and, like, I like a lot of different things.
Yeah. I had it's funny because I know the difference now between, like, I listen to everything versus, like, I think now what my interpretation of that is, like, I can enjoy pretty much everything. Yeah. But I do have my go-tos, like, oh, this is, like, what I'm going to be listening to, like, on the daily or whatever. Like, I can listen to anything and be like, oh, I like this about it, but, like, am I going back to listen to that song? Like, maybe not, you know? But, I feel like that was my only issue because I feel like what was getting more traction, you would get the traction of, like, people who were, like, supporting this stuff, but negative shit always just, like, gets the most, like, attention, and I was just like, oh, I don't want to, like, talk bad about any stuff, and especially because I was doing, like, a bunch of my friends, and I'm like, I'm not gonna, like, talk shit about anything.
I learned that a while ago, and, like, it was a video I recorded of my homie, and he was at a show, and he was moshing hard, and that video got heavy, mad, like, reception, bad for him, but, like, within one day, we were at, like, 3-point-something million views.
Yeah. People were very, like, I don't know, like, if because of the internet, like, people are ready, like, oh, I can say, if I don't like something, I can just jump on this right and be like, oh, this shit sucks. Like, you shouldn't be doing this, or you're wrong about this. Like, doing that on purpose. Have you seen that a lot more, like, in content? Like, I've seen people purposely, like, do stuff wrong or leave something in the background or something that's obviously the person knows, like, it shouldn't be there, or they say something wrong just so people right away jump on, like, oh, you're pronouncing this wrong, or that's not how you use that. Like, people will jump to tell you, like, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. And I found, like, people are starting to, like, abuse that loophole and be like, oh, I'm just going to say it wrong to begin with, so people will say something about it.
To me, though, some of the hate comments have me laughing because, like, I remember one of my videos I posted, someone in the comments section, if they can learn to play their instruments, maybe I'd listen to them. And I was like, that's kind of funny. Like, can you even play an instrument? Like, you're at home talking about these bands can't play. And I'm like, they sound good to me. Yeah. I was having fun.
Yeah, there's so much, it's such a removal from, like, the human aspect. I'm like, oh, you're not telling those people, like, in person that, like, whatever. And people, like, also don't really understand, like, what it takes to be, like, a musician, to write a song, to recording. Like, sometimes you're like, oh, I know the song's good, and then you happen to go to a studio that didn't understand, like, what you were trying to do, and it turns out the way it does, like, not the way you want it to, but you still put it out. So there's stuff like that. There's, like,
because, like, one thing I learned too is, like, everything, when you're writing music, everything sounds better in your head.
Oh, absolutely.
You're sitting there dreaming up stuff, and you're, like, thinking it's Van Halen when you're playing guitar, but really, you're just average Joe sometimes.
Dude, the thing that baffled me when I was in a band and was singing is that I didn't know what my voice sounded like until I was, like, had to record myself, like, over me, like, oh shit, like, I sound different than like what I sound in my head. And it's which is why I love that it's so readily available now to like record yourself and do all that stuff. Like in-home studios, like every musician I know has a way to like put something down, you know, which you need to have that because people like you need to be able to listen to me like, oh, this is what I'm actually like sounding like. And then you get to practice over and over again and be like, oh, I know exactly like what it's sounding like.
And it's so cool with the technology nowadays because like I got my own in-home studio. It's just my audio box, microphone, and my computer with a FL Studios. And then, you know, I'm just going to town recording.
Yeah.
To me, it sounds decent. It's not, you know, super professional sounding, but like what helps is I got these things called presets where I you know, you can make you like sound certain, like they do the mixing for you basically. You just
gotcha, yeah.
Open it up and be like, boom, it's already pre-mixed.
And I like that availability to most people because it gives them the opportunity to try to make music without feeling as discouraged, like fine, or if you want to try something on your own and just like because figuring out like to start a band or like finding members, people to practice together, stuff like that.
That was my thing. I was just graduating high school and I wanted to start a Christian hardcore band project, and I thought I found a few people. No one ever joined. It was just me by myself. Like I printed hats before I even had the band started. Oh no! And well, there was only two. It was 2 prototype hats. Yeah, it was called Beneath the Skin. That's what I was calling it. I was like, that name sounds cool, you know?
Yeah.
I got it off of a Memphis Mayfire song.
Nice.
But, like, no one ever joined. I had a bunch of lyrics written for it, material, and I was just like, never started it. But, you know, maybe one day.
Yeah, that is one thing I'm always curious about is I've seen a little bit more and more bands start without having music yet, or like without having like I guess what I would consider like a foundation in like music, and it's just like about we have like an Instagram page already, or we have like, you know, whatever the image part of it, like we have a logo and stuff like that, but they don't have anything to prepare for it. You know what I mean? Like at least for me, like the way I look at it, I'm always feeling like, I think you should have like your band or your project, or if it's just you have like at least some music written that you can maybe perform or put out like whenever, you know. I know releasing it's its own whole like ordeal, but I feel like you would want to have that first to be like, okay, now I can get the extra stuff. Now I can start talking about it. Yeah. And it's just because I always relate it to myself, and like I used to always like talk about ideas, and then once people were like, that's fucking dope, like that was enough for me. I'm like, people were like, that is a cool name for a band. And I'm like, yeah, it is. That means I didn't have to start the band because someone already told me like it was cool. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't follow through with it if I would present it first. You'd be like, oh, this is how it's gonna be.
See, that happened to me a lot. I had so many ideas of like, yo, I'm gonna do this, and every time I said it to everyone, I never did it. Yeah. The moment I held on to it and was just like, I'm not gonna tell the world. I'm gonna only tell like my closest people, that like the people I trust that will like tell me, hey, this is how you can make it better, and actually go through with it. Is when I started actually doing things. Yeah, because if you really want to get it done, like you don't need to tell anybody. You could just start on it, and then you reach out to people like if you need help with it, or if you're stuck, or if you're like, or if you just, again, it's some of these close people to you that I'm like, oh, I know if I tell them, they're gonna be like, oh, this is. It's like, what if you try this with it, or this and that, or even just like, again, like the right people to add just a little bit more of that encouragement to you. I got that in my life now with the little Mosh kid, his dad, Nick. Anytime I have an idea, I always hit him up because he's logistically smart. And he always texts me back, that's a great idea, but you're going to need this, and this just to accommodate all this. And I'm like, okay, let's tone it down a little bit. Because, like, I don't know if you saw, I did Baconfest last year.
Yeah, so I was about to bring up, like, that partnership actually brought out, like, Baconfest, right?
Yeah, because I had, if you've seen the original idea, I was like, I'm going to get this band, like, the huge Pierce the Veil, all these huge bands, you know? And I was like, I'm going to reunite all these old bands. And I was like, the ideas are going crazy, and he was like, we got to scale it down. Like, this is going to cost way too much. Like, this is going to be $1 million idea, and you're only at like a couple $1,000. That's all you have readily available for something like this. So I was like, okay, you're right. So we scaled it down, and it turned out pretty nice, though. You know? I thought it was fun. I had fun.
How was that experience for you? Like, actually having to set that up? Like, with yourself? Because that was one of
It
the
was
first.
so,
it was a
like-
big event and one of the first ones that you're doing.
It was the first event, second event I did, because
Yeah.
I threw a birthday party for myself one year. It was free at the Ridge Leah Theater.
Yeah.
Rip to that place.
Rip.
But we had in the lounge, and it was like a couple bands, and celebrating my birthday, 150 tacos, 10 large pizzas. It was fun.
Yeah.
And then a couple years later, I did Baconfest, and that, I'm telling you right now, if anyone has done a fest or anything show related, it's terrifying.
Yeah.
Because like when you look at the numbers and not even that, just having to communicate with all the bands. Like I had, I think, 20 bands on the lineup.
Yeah.
And having to communicate with everyone and keep everyone like, hey, are you guys still playing? Are you going to be there? And you haven't heard back from them in a while. Or like the day before the show, the band's like, hey, I don't think it's, we're going to be able to play. And you're just like, crap, I got to find someone else.
Like I had just figured out a whole schedule. Yeah. Like those are like again, and then you get people who are like, oh, it can't be like too hard or this and that or blah, blah. But it's so many like logistical things that no one like second get like that. Like you would think like, oh, then all the bands agreed to play, so they're gonna play. And I'm like, no, sometimes people like drop like at the last minute, or sometimes something happens. So what are you gonna do then? Like if this, we've had that happen where like somebody's like had a tragedy, or like a band gets COVID, or like someone just can't be there, and it's like, okay, like what do we do now? Like we have to figure stuff out on the fly, because it's not only like all the pre-planning, which already is a huge task on itself, is like logistically figuring out like what time do these bands go in, like as little as stuff like when should you be loading in, because like not every band can be there at the very like start of the day and have all their gear just lying around, like depending on where you're at, Yeah, in that place you had Haltom Theater, and it's pretty huge, but still like you have to coordinate everybody's like loading times. Who's gonna work your doors? Like do you need security? Like that's what happened when we threw Chill Sounds 3, is that we were like, we did it at the Post, and they were like, oh, you're gonna need security, and then we're like, okay, like we haven't gotten security before, and now it's like, oh, figuring out like what the prices of them, and realizing like, oh shit, that's kind of expensive, like depending on where you go, like, and just again figuring out how many people we need per, like how many people are we expecting, like all this stuff comes into play. And then your day of stuff is just like you're running around, like it's most of the time, like I don't know how much you got to enjoy Baconfest, but normally like you're running around like quite a bit.
I enjoyed it. I performed at Baconfest.
You did, right? You opened up. Yeah.
That was the thing. Like I was the first one to perform, and it was one of the most beautiful moments, I'm going to say.
Really?
Like, I had so much fun performing. Now, you could probably, if you look at the videos over there, you could tell I was nervous.
Yeah.
Because I never really performed in front of people that often. But, like, afterwards, I look back and I'm like, that was just fun. Because I was shocked at how many people were there at when I opened up,
Yeah.
I didn't think anyone was going to be there at the beginning. But there was more people there at the beginning than at the end of the fest.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me, at least. And I was like, it was just cool that everyone showed up for me. Like, I had friends from church and friends from high school that came out just to watch me, stayed for me and then 2 other sets, and then dipped. They're like, I gotta go. And I was like, bro, thank you for spending your money on my fest just to come see me.
That alone like means a lot. You know what I mean? Like I completely understand like if people can make it out for like only like half the show or like a little bit, but the fact that you came out and like came to one of my events, or if I like when I was in a band and I was performing, like I was the most grateful when like people were showing up. I'm like, you have no idea like how that feels, like just to be like, oh, you're here, like supporting, or like the surprise people that you're not expecting to show up. And I'm like, that's so fucking cool. Again, because you can literally do anything else like with your time. Like time is the biggest thing. And it was a
Saturday.
Yeah.
So that was a big thing. Like I had people from church, I didn't think, they said, oh yeah, we'll show up. And didn't think they were going to, because I was like, people just talk game, they'll tell you they're going to come. And they actually did. And I was like, yo, y'all came. Let's go.
So yeah, you opened up that show, and you're before I get to that, I love the belt that you had made.
Yes, I still have it too.
Yeah, I literally forgot, but I was gonna say, I was like, oh, just bring it so we can like show it. But yeah, that thing was such a cool idea like behind it. I wish
I would have thought of it sooner, because the one thing I realized with promotion and festivals and doing all that is you want to kind of have a theme and stick to that theme. Because what I was doing for promotion is, at first I was all over the place. And I was like, once I found my theme and could get a flyer out there actually and everything, solid,
yeah,
I felt like recording videos was easier because I had a theme to go with.
Yeah.
for recording and actually doing content. So it made it a whole lot easier to do the promotion side of things once I had my theme, and that belt really did help because I thought it was cool.
Yeah, the belt looks awesome. Like I thought that was such a great idea.
And it's signed by every band member that played.
That's fucking sick. That's so sick. But yeah, so you opened up the show and you are, doing. I don't know how long you've been doing music, but I know like you're ready to really start pushing that a little bit more.
Yeah, I've been doing music for a long time. Like I'd say since elementary school, I was writing lyrics in my head and writing down on paper. Like I remember, I think it was the 5th grade. I wrote, I would consider it a song, but people would say it was a poem for a girl in class. I threw it in her desk for Valentine's Day. Didn't go over well. But I thought it was beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
I tried. And ever since then, I always wanted to make music, and I really didn't do it. My dad does music.
Oh, he does?
Yeah. He's got his own big band Christmas album project he did. And now he's working on a Christian rock album, which I think is beautiful. It sounds really good, actually. And so he don't sing or anything. He just produces and writes and gets people to play music for him.
Interesting. Okay.
But through there, I fell in love with it. And I was like, because there's this band, that they're no longer around. I'm so sad they're not. But it's called Frandy. And they used to record. They were like a metal screamo band back in the day in the early 2000s, like 05, 04 era. And they recorded in their basement, one of their EPs.
Oh, shit.
And so, like, in my bedroom, I stayed in the bedroom where they had the drum set up. So I always had the drums in there, and my parents would get mad because I play on them all the time.
Okay, so you have like a musical background that kind of like fed into. So your dad was that I guess biggest like influence into like music.
One of them, yeah.
Okay.
He was the one who started me liking music because I used to sit there and I would sleep in the room where he recorded the music. So I had all the equipment next to me all the time.
Gotcha. That's pretty awesome. But so you are now, like I said, so you've been doing music forever, but now you are releasing stuff.
Yeah. So originally I released stuff. I was an artist called Alone.
Okay.
Not many people. I didn't really promote it as much. Like, I don't know if you remember the emo rap era. I tried to do that.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And it got dark. For real. No. Like, I started writing songs about suicide and death and killing yourself. And I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I don't want to be talking like this. Like, I started getting more heavily involved in church, and I was like, I got to delete all this. So I deleted it. And the hardest thing was DistroKit. I already made the account, already paid for everything, and I already had everything released under Alone. And I had one song that I really did like under Alone.
Yeah.
It was a song about a girl. I was like, okay, this one's actually clean and decent. So I was like, okay, we'll reuse that again. But then I was like, how can I change my name? And I never really figured that out. And apparently I don't think you can. So I had to pay more money to upgrade to get more artists.
More artists under the...
Just so I can upload another artist's name. And now I'm doing it under Moshing Bacon because I figure easier to find me that way.
You want to... I remember talking to you. You were like, I want to do everything under like the same umbrella. Like,
yeah, that way people who find me on YouTube can find me on everywhere, on every platform without having to search up different titles. So, and that too, when I'm like making videos or doing a song, I don't have to say, hey, go follow my YouTube channel, so-and-so. Yeah. Or go follow my Instagram on this other account. I can just, everything is under one umbrella.
Gotcha. That makes sense. When you were, if you want to like dive into this a little bit, so when you were doing Alone and like you're talking about that subject matter that you're talking about, is that because you were going through like emotions like that at the time? Like where you were saying you were going dark, is that also like a reflection on you, or were you just writing that because that's what that era was writing about?
I mean, I had a point where I was super depressed and everything, and like I kind of not really fell from the church. I would still go every week, but like I was just in my own head. Like it was just a really dark time where I was just like super like always sad. I was listening to a bunch of sad boy emo rap music, Little Peep and all that, staying in my feelings all the time, and like I guess from listening to that kind of music 24/7, getting into that mindset 24/7. That's what spews out when you're trying to write and record all the time. Gotcha. Because that's all you hear. And you're just like, is this all I am, And I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to be like that anymore. So I kind of changed up what I listen to now.
Nice. Yeah, because I didn't know, but until I think the last, like, the Conviction show we threw, I think DJ was the one, like, telling me that it was like, oh, yeah, like, that you were... very like into like the church, and you were like Christian and this and that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I didn't know that about you. But then like seeing like the music that you like enjoy and stuff like that, like all became like a reflection of that. But that show, first of all, like I think I knew Convictions was Christian before the first time you booked them. But like the other like lineup, like the rest of like that tour, like I was like, oh, this is like sick. You know what I mean? Like
that whole show, I'm gonna be real, was so good.
Yeah.
Like Confessions of a Traitor, first time in the like I had so much fun hearing them live for the first time. And then you had Convictions. They're one of my all-time favorites right now. Like Mike is like the coolest guy ever, and he's super good at video games. Like me and him, we used to play PlayStation, and he was on tour for months.
Yeah,
and he gets back, and we play a game of what was it, Star Wars Battlefront?
Yeah. Oh shit. Okay.
And I'm over here, I'm like 20 something kills or something. I look at him at the end of the game, 120 kills.
Oh my gosh.
With like one death, and I'm like, how? Like what?
Do you being able to find like bands that are like these Christian metal bands, like, and then you are also like into that genre of music. Is that like a comforting feeling? Be like, oh, I can listen to like the music that I enjoy and still have like that message behind it. That also like again that doesn't really make you feel terrible like the other stuff that you're listening to. Like, how does that like connection feel?
I mean, it's great. Like, so I was a senior in high school. I didn't really know my growing up. I didn't know what metal or rock was really. Like my introduction to rock was like Switchfoot and Skillet were my two first like kind of rock bands I knew. That, and I was like, you mean Christian music can be heavy? Because my mom, I grew up in a old school Pentecostal way. If it's not Christian, it's not being played in the house. So like all these other kind of genres or music, my mom thought was of the devil.
Gotcha.
So we never got to really listen to them. Like I had to sneak a copy of Green Day in my basement. I had American Idiot.
Oh, really?
Get my friend that we got from my friend.
Yeah.
So it's like basically like learning all that. I'm just like, there's actually Christian music out there that's heavy. This sounds good. And then started out with, they're not even a Christian band, I don't think, but Beartooth. This was my introduction to heavy music.
Okay.
And then from there, I went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And I was like, hold on. And then I found more Christian bands basically. And I was like, okay, Convictions, For Today, Sleeping Giant. And I was like, these guys are good. And it's got to the point where now I got a playlist. I don't know if you ever saw my playlist, but I got 9,800 and I think 70 songs in it now.
Oh my gosh.
Of just Christian metal.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm trying to get a metal playlist with every Christian band out there I can find. And I guess Spotify only allows you to have 10,000 songs. So I'm almost to the max.
You're almost to the max of it. Okay. So I mean, other than like you are, I mean, from what I know, you're not like just set on like, oh, I just listen to Christian music.
Oh, no,
you branch out and listen to
everything. As long as it's got a positive outlook on life and doesn't like talk about death and suicide. Really, I can listen to it usually.
Yeah.
Like I love Neck Deep.
Neck Deep. Okay.
Like they are one of my favorites right now, or I should say all times. They were like right up there as one of my tops. Like I did a karaoke all the time, and I would always like try to sing stuff from them.
From Neck Deep.
Yeah.
You've been to, again, like one of the things is you're like one of the staples at like shows where like people will like see you and recognize you. Have you had that happen like a lot more where people will come up to you and be like, hey, like you're like the Moshing Bacon now. Like, does that become like,
I have a lot more people come up to me and they're like, yo, Bacon Man. Yeah. And I'm like, what's up? They're like, I saw you at that one show last time at this place. And I was like, yeah, I was there. They're like, it's good to see you again, bro. And I was like, it's just cool that people start recognizing me.
Yeah. And again, I think it's because you're always just like, again, you're a really good example of someone just going out and like having a fun time like at shows. And like, I'm just here like to literally just to enjoy like a wide variety of like bands I've seen you like just go to. You know what I mean? It's just like going and having a fun time.
Like I've been to every genre of show I can think of. Except I haven't been to a country show yet.
Not yet. Oh,
so if any country bands out there want me to come out, let me know. But I've been to some rap shows, and man, some of those rap shows are fun. I've been to some pop punk shows, some rock shows, some shoegaze, metalcore, hardcore. I've been to it all, and it's I just have fun at all of them.
What are some of like your like I don't know, like most iconic or like best shows that you've been to?
So to this day, there's one show I'm never gonna live down. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. I went and saw For Today at the farewell tour, both shows. To this day, my favorite shows of all time. I still have memories of like the lead singer the guitar player from For Today, crowd surfing on a raft that he jumped off the stage with.
Oh my God, what?
And everyone's just holding him up like this, and we're just like, and as he's playing his guitar, laying down on the raft. And I was like, that to this day was like, I love this.
Yeah.
That's what sparked my really heavy interest into the music scene, because I was like, this is amazing. And then from then I started going to way more shows.
Yeah.
And I got way too many shows.
What's the furthest you've gone to for like shows? Like, did you travel?
I went to Blue Ridge Rock Fest.
Oh, that's right, you did.
Don't suggest going to anyone.
You know what? Yeah, let's talk about that. That was such like a rough time for most people.
30 hours.
So explain to me a little bit about why. So Blue Ridge is like a camp. You're going to camp out.
Well, you can either camp or you can get a hotel and then bus in from the parking lots.
Okay.
Don't suggest doing the busing part. The camping part was kind of cool at first. Just no one told me how hot it was in North Carolina. I'm thinking we're going north. It's going to be cold. I get there. It's like a 95, 96% humidity, and it's like 90 degrees outside.
That sounds terrible.
And I'm like, I have this portable fan that my mom gave me. Thank you to my mom for that. She's like, she really helped me out with that one, because I'm sitting there laying down in my air mattress in my tent, fanning myself all day long on the first day on Wednesday because it was just so hot. I didn't want to get up and do anything. Like, it was just way too much. And then the second day is when the fest actually started, because we got there a day early so we can camp out and get everything set up, you know? And the second day, it was like starting out great. It was cool. I was getting really hot, though, to be honest, because it was still very hot outside. And
you're wearing a suit.
Yeah. It gets really hot in this thing.
I bet, yeah.
Like, people always ask me, are you hot? I'm like, yes, but the things I do for YouTube. But
okay.
When I got there, it was like the first night, and everyone's like, it's not going to rain. There's no bad weather. It's going to be great weather today. Out of nowhere, it starts pouring.
Yeah.
Our tent got flooded.
Oh.
My mom's fan got ruined and didn't work anymore. Like, all my clothes were soaking wet. And I was just like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
So we went and tried to fix our tent. We duct taped things together, got it stapled down, and we tried to restay one more night, and we did. Next day was fine. Nothing really happened. No bad weather. But like the third day, I guess bad weather came, and they canceled the whole thing on us.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine like planning like that entire like trip, especially like, I mean, you're coming from over here. But
we drove 30 hours.
Oh, you drove there?
We drove there from San Antonio.
Like, so even further.
So the weekend before we went, I went to a convention in Austin called GalaxyCon.
Okay.
And I slept in my car for that thing. I didn't get a hotel. I was like, I'm just going to sleep in my car. So I went to Austin, slept in my car, and then from Austin went to San Antonio to meet up with my friends on that Monday to drive all the way to North Carolina.
Wow. That's a 30-hour drive. And then after all that,
see, the funny part is, though,
having to drive 30 hours
we were driving there, and we had a cooler full of meats. We were like, we're going to bring fajitas, hot dogs, everything. We get on the highway, we hear a thump.
No.
And we can't find our cooler. We lost about $100 worth of meat.
Oh, my gosh.
I had like 45 chicken legs, and we were about to eat good. And so we were just like, well, we don't got meat now, so we had to go buy some when we got there.
Oh, my God.
Turned out we couldn't really eat much of the meat because I got the wrong propane tanks.
Oh, so you couldn't even use like the grill or whatever?
Yeah, I had a little portable grill.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't even use it.
Oh my
God. But luckily our camper neighbor had one that he let us use. And we cooked for everyone. We're like, hey, you guys you can eat with us too. We'll cook enough for everyone.
Yeah.
And we did, but like that was the only time we really cooked, because if you ever go to a festival, it's hot in camp, like you say you want to bring food to cook, but really it's like, I don't want to leave the grounds to go cook.
Yeah.
Like I want to stay in the festival grounds so I can listen to my music, and then you just get hungry and you're like, it's right there.
Because it was like how far was it from the campsite?
So we had to walk like 15 minutes just to get to the grounds for the festival.
Wow. From
the camp where we camped. Now there was some campgrounds closer, but like ours wasn't as close.
Yeah.
Which the thing is too, they made us pay if we wanted to. They had golf carts, but we had to pay for them with cash.
Oh.
And so I didn't have cash on me.
Yeah.
But like, I was just like, I'll walk it, you know. And so it just deterred me from wanting to go back and cook because like if I walk 15 minutes, I'm gonna miss all
30 minutes in the walk, 15 there, 15 back, and then whatever time it takes to cook and eat or whatever. Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna miss so much. So we never really cooked anything, and everything really went bad.
See, I've always thought I was like, that'd probably be like a cool experience, and then I hear stories like that, I'm like, I would be so mad. Everything that happened. I mean, you gotta take it how it is. But I think the only time it wasn't a camp one, but I remember we went to Voodoo Fest in New Orleans.
Nice.
And just having the walk to the grounds was super fucking far. You can park anywhere really close. It was the way they had the entrance set up. It was a giant walk. So I'm like, yeah, once you're in here, you're just in here, until we all leave or whatever. But yeah, those festivals are fun, but they come, especially stuff in the summer. I remember So What, I was dying. I was dying. It was in.
I wanted to see
June, right?
Yeah, it was June, and I wanted to see some certain bands, but they were outside, and I was like, do I really want to see them that bad?
It was rough, yeah. Because luckily they had a little indoor stuff, which still was I guess a little better. But you saw everybody just laying on the floor that cool concrete, just because that was the only time people would get any sort of relief.
So refreshing.
Yeah, that's what me and my girlfriend. That's what we were doing. We would go inside, lay down. I'm like, okay, I had to make decisions of I'm okay missing this band, I guess, because I can't just continue being out
for me
there.
too. This is my motto of 2024, and it's gonna help me get to less shows. I'm how many times have I seen this band? Do I really need to see them a fifth time? And because I've been to so many shows, I used to go to 3 a week.
Wow.
And so I'm cutting back on shows because I'm trying to save money so I can get my own place and move out and get my own house. And so with that, it's really depicting what I want to see, and is it going to be worth my time? Have I ever seen this band before? No. There's a show I think Noise Right, you guys are doing coming up with what is it? Cultist.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one.
And I was I've always wanted to see him, so yes, I'm going to it because I'm not missing a band I've never seen before and haven't got to see.
Yeah.
But some of these bands I've seen 20 different times. I'm okay, I can miss this show. I've already, even though it's going to be a great show, I know the band's going to be fun. I'm I got to sacrifice for the end cause of me being able to get my own place so I can do stuff like this and be able to invite people over and have studio time with people.
Yeah, because you want to have, obviously, if you enjoy, going to shows and stuff like that, you want to be, at all of them, or as many as you can. It's I would love to see this band. But once you start seeing, it's not just the ticket, am I, the drive over there.
See, the thing that got me is I was getting into a lot of shows, and they were, cheap, $10, $12, you know? But those waters killed me.
Oh, yeah. It's $4 or $5 for a water bottle.
And I drink a lot.
Yeah.
I was getting 4 to 5 waters.
Oh, my God.
So, I'm looking at my bank. How much did I spend on just water alone? Probably a couple $1,000 just waters going to all these shows.
Yeah, I normally just tough it out. Or if it's a show where I can walk in and out, then I always have a bottle in the car that I'm just I'll just walk back out there and have a swig and then come back inside. But yeah, there's a bunch of shows that won't let you do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize that as much as I did. Where I'm if you leave, you can't come back, and I'm what? I don't never get that, but I guess there's a reason behind it. I don't know. But you're talking about studio time, but you actually are starting to not only do your own music, but you're helping produce also as well. How's that?
It's been fun. I had one of my friends, Nathan, come over, and I did one of his songs, and it turned out. I think it turned out pretty good. It's my first song I ever helped record for a friend.
Yeah,
and it was just fun sitting there all day hearing his music and not me having to do all the singing.
Yeah.
Me just hitting record and getting to hear someone else perform, in my room, and me getting to mix it and having him tell me this sounds really good. Thank you for helping me. It just felt good to help people out.
How have you is all self-taught stuff that you're just looking up how to do it?
I just look on YouTube basically. I get on YouTube hey, how do I do this? And I'll get a tutorial, and then I'll go on my FL Studios and be oh, okay, that's how you use that tool. And then from just with alone music, me repetitively using the tool and trying to make music, I keep learning how to get better and better at mixing and stuff. Do you?
I love the fact that the possibility now. Like if you want to learn how to do something, like you can find all that information like online. Like DJ, who's my roommate, also like runs Noise Route with me. He does mixing and recording and stuff like that too, and that's like what his like content is, where he's just like, oh, I'm just looking up stuff. Like, how'd you learn how to do that? It's like, oh, like you look it up, like everything. That same thing. Like I bring this story up a lot, but Zaylin from Dispositions, like I asked him about cameras before I got my cameras. And I was just like, oh, I want to get what's your camera? Like he had, I think it was like one of the A7 series from Sony.
Those are nice.
And I was just like, oh, like I'll just get the one you get. Like that'll work for me. And I was like, do you suggest that like for this and that? I was trying to run a vlog at the time, and I was just like, I think he told me like, he's like, you know what, you're better off doing your own research. And I initially like hated it for it. I was like, oh
no,
like, it's so true. Like,
it is.
I like I was telling you were telling me about the camera you're planning on getting, and I'm like, oh, that'd be so much camera for me. And that's what I realized. Had I bought the one that he was suggesting, like it was so much camera that I'm like, I don't need all of that. I would have spent a lot of money, and maybe I would have learned how to use like the extra stuff on it eventually, but it wasn't where I needed to be like at the time.
Yeah, you weren't going to use all the features or even need
them, you know. And and I went through and I found one that I like, and I didn't go with these first. I got a cheaper one, in which I'm like, this is still a little more than I need, but it's enough to let me grow a little bit with it.
Yeah, that's what I did at first, because like when I did camera research, I got the Panasonic Luminex G7.
Ooh, okay.
And for me, I was like, oh, because I asked the guy, he's like, yeah, the guy at the camera store said, I give this to most college students and help gets them through college. And I was like, okay, it shoots 4K, 30 FPS. I'm going to start doing show shoots,
Yeah.
And I want to get onto YouTube and stream and on Twitch and all that back in that time when I was playing my video games a lot. And I was like, cool, it's mirrorless, it works.
Yeah.
It does what I need it to, so I bought it. And I used it up until recently when I went to Flyover Fest. They changed the name.
Oh, yeah.
And it was during Twitching Tongues, and some person decided to run towards the back, and like I guess they speared or jumped on someone, and they went flying into me, which was like three people behind the person of the pit, and my camera was holding up like as high as it can go so I can record the band and the pit, and it went flying. And my LED screen went green. And so I was like, I can't see anything. What's going on? So I turn it off and try to turn it back on, and then the screen, it doesn't work. And then when I go, I don't know if you look into the little thing for it, it does not showing anything. So I was like, well, I think I broke it.
Oh, no.
It might just be an LED screen fix where I can go buy a new one and replace it, but I've been lazy and haven't really done it.
Yeah, you have to weigh out like also like, oh, the repair, like, I mean, yeah, the repair might work. And then sometimes it's like, oh, maybe like this is the time to upgrade. Because that's what happened to me. Like, it was a sign for me, and I had a 6100 before, like
those are nice cameras.
They're nice. It wasn't bad. Like it worked. It just wouldn't. It would overheat if I went over an hour on these podcasts. Like it was like I think the most I ever did was like an hour and 20 minutes, and it barely it died. So like I'm like okay, and so what happened in this story, I hate it so much. I was starting to like not do as much work with it, and I finally was like, I need to start using my camera again or whatever. So it was like Thanksgiving, and I remember like carrying a bunch of stuff. I had my camera in my hand and like all this stuff. I was going somewhere for Thanksgiving, and I remember like I was like, oh, like I need to load some of this stuff up. So I put the camera on the top of the car, and I go like load everything up, and I get in the car and I take off.
Ooh.
I make it like down the street. I make a turn. And then I'm still going. There's like a winding road. And then like I do one of the winds and I hear something. And I'm just like, what is that? And I look at the rear view and see the back window. And I just see the camera like straight down. Like, and I yelled inside my car just like, my camera. Like, ah! And I like start like cussing like crazy. And I was like, oh, like I find a way to pull in. And I go find it. And it's smashed to like crap. Like the whatever the LED screen is completely broke. It doesn't turn on. The battery flew somewhere, the little flap on it, like it's completely like just wrecked. Like the lens is like is awful. The thing I really like got mad at myself was like the memory card, I couldn't find it. Like it popped out and I was like searching the street for it because I had so many, I forgot what I had in there, but I'm like, dude, that's gone. Like now.
That reminds me of my camera when it broke. My memory card was in there and I was in the middle of recording.
Oh.
All that footage apparently ruined.
Oh, it didn't say. Oh, I hate that.
And I was like, well, there goes 30 minutes of my recording.
Yeah, I forgot. I think I had, because I was getting back into doing like a vlog. I think it was like a whole week or two of like stuff that I had recorded. Cause like I was like, I'm gonna come back with a big one. Like I'm just gonna wait, and like I did all this stuff, and I'm like, dude, it's gone. And yeah, I sat in there. I was like, you know what? It's my fault. Like I haven't been even taking care of it. Like that's why I left it on top of the car. Like I wasn't like making sure that it was fine. I wasn't using it, and I'm like, whatever. Like I'm just not gonna have one. So I didn't have one for like I think like 4 months. And I was like borrowing a camera, and then I was like, you know what, it's time to get me something. But then I decided to upgrade it, like, and get something a little better, because I'm like, okay, like now, it's when I start. Actually, I didn't get one until maybe a few months before I started the podcast, actually. And I'm like, oh, I'll have one, and I was borrowing another one. And then, yeah, even when it came to get a second camera of my own, because again, I kept borrowing some, I was like, oh, I could have gone higher up, but I realized I'm like, I don't need like any more at this very moment. Like, oh, these two are doing just fine. They're just small enough that I can take them anywhere. It's not a giant thing to pack. They normally are stationary. I'm like, I'm not really taking them out and about. Like they're doing this and they've done this well. And they, like I said, I can do 4K and stuff like I think me and Marco, who does polarize my films, we use the same camera, and I'm like, he does cool shit with that. That means if I wanted to,
he does.
I could do like a decent enough job with this camera, you know. So I'm like, I don't need anything crazy. But for me, most of it is just like figuring out what I actually want to do, and then like not trying to get like all the fanciest equipment first, which was a thing. Again, I was terrible at it. I was like, I have a hobby, or like I have something I want to do, and I'm like, let's buy the most expensive stuff yet, and then find out I'm like, I don't actually want to do this, like, or I'm not spending time on it, you know?
See, that's my problem, like, because I'm at the stage, because even with my computer, I built my own computer. I've done, like, 7 computer builds now.
Oh, my God.
But, like, my newest computer I have, I was like, well, let's go balls to the wall. And 64 gigs of RAM. I was like, wow. I got 3070 Ti. This is back when they were, like, super expensive, too.
I know some of these words.
Like, but my computer's just, I mean, do I need it all? Probably not. Do I use it all? Eventually. I want to say I will. But, like, it was just the aspirations of me thinking this is what I'm going to do, and I haven't done it yet with it. But eventually, I'm going to get into the After Effects. And we're going to learn how to do some After Effects editing.
Yeah, you'll need a bunch of power for that.
So, my computer can run all that. That's going to be great.
Yeah. Yeah, see, and that's the difference of like just buying stuff just to buy it, or buying stuff because I'm like, I know I can grow into this.
Yeah.
But like in your case, like you've been doing like video stuff for, you know, a while, so you know that you're gonna keep doing that. So being able to have something to grow with like makes sense.
Yeah.
Versus like, I remember when I grew up playing like classical guitar, and then I was like, oh, I would like to join a band. So I bought like. I bought an electric guitar. Never played electric guitar in my life. I bought that. I bought like a giant like half stack that I didn't need. Dang. You know what I mean? Like I bought I mean, it's not expensive stuff. I mean, for what I was doing, I shouldn't have bought all this stuff.
Yeah,
could have started off something smaller and really see if like I wanted to do this. And I probably spent like $2,000 on it, and I used it a handful of times, and I didn't even join that band. Like I kicked out of that band as a guitar player because I didn't know how to play electric guitar. You know what I mean? It was so funny. And I used to do that a lot. I used to just buy like, oh, let's buy everything. So before I bought the camera and I started that vlog, I'm like, you know what? I have a phone, like whatever. At the time, it was like I think it was like my iPhone 11, and I'm like, if I can't create what I want to create with this, or I'll try, I go, then I don't need to buy a camera.
Like, I tell this to everyone. Like, I've heard this is coming from a YouTuber that I look up to, Mr. Beast. He tells you got a cell phone. Like, some of these cell phone cameras are better than these higher end cameras you're spending $300-$400 on.
Oh yeah,
for video. Like the new iPhones, like and Galaxies and all that. They're really good. Like, I have a Pixel 6, and all my shorts are done on my phone.
Yeah, so it's
good quality.
It's really good quality to start. It's just, if you don't want to do it with that, then you don't want to do it. You know what I mean? Like that's how you. I think that's how you weed out the people who don't want to do it. Like, because you have. That's one thing. Like I said, when I started it, I think I just gotten my new phone, and it was like I had an iPhone, I think like 11 or something, and that's when it came out. So I'm like, I should be able to do it on this. Like I think I did the first 5 on it, and I'm like, I'm enjoying it. You know what I mean? And that's what I always say. Like, the easiest way to find what you're passionate about, find out what you're spending your time on that nobody's telling you to do. You're not getting paid for it to do. Like, you're just doing it because you enjoy, like, doing it at the moment. And then, you know, if it develops into whatever, like, then it develops it. But what are you spending your time on? Like, what do you actually enjoy doing? And I was editing videos for, like, you know, I was stitching together, you know, a week. I think I was putting out a vlog a week. So I was stitching together a week's worth of just like video clips, which was like 2 hours worth of stuff to see through. First of all, to go through and figure out, oh, when does this bit go? When does it blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I'm having fun. I go, so I know that I do want to do this. You know, I want to keep doing something. But yeah, and yeah, figuring out how to upgrade your stuff at the right time. I think you know when, like, oh, I need new stuff.
I'm looking at new cameras, and you know, I'm trying to decide, do I really need it? But I want to get the Sony FX6 just because it was used to create this movie I love called The Creator. Like, that was the only camera they used was an FX6.
Oh, okay.
Or FX3, I mean, not 6.
Yeah.
And they used that for the whole entire film. So I was like, if they can use that for Netflix quality, it's approved for Netflix. So, like...
Yeah.
It's...
Wait, I know. Yeah, now I know. Like, I've heard of the camera, but now I remember seeing that, too, where they were like, oh, we shot it all, like, on this. And I'm just like, that's nuts.
Yeah, like... If they can do that with that, I'm like, what can I do, you know?
Yeah.
It's going to be cool. So I've been saving up money thinking about getting it. I haven't bought it yet because I want to buy a house first. But, like, maybe eventually I'll get it. But, like, I kind of need to get a new camera because I've been getting offers for doing more content outside of music. Like, my friend's a wrestler. And he has his own, like, production company called Higher Power Production or Higher Power... it's Higher Power... I gotta look this up.
Plug it in right.
Like, let's see.
So he runs it, or he like wrestles in it, or both?
No, he's security.
Oh, gotcha. That's also an interesting thing that I didn't realize was around town. Like, there's quite a few wrestling productions like around town that are actually doing pretty decent shows. Which I need to go to some because I have a friend that also works with one of them. And does like their promo pictures, and I can't remember what the production is called. But yeah, it's a pretty big deal in Texas. Which I just saw that movie Iron Claw for the Viags. That movie was so good.
I'm blanking right now.
I'll let
it's
we'll find it.
I'll find it later. But like, he does wrestling, and he wants me to come out to his event in North Carolina. He's gonna fly me out to go film him at the event. So I was like, let me know. He's been my best friend since 3rd grade.
Oh, wow.
So, like, I'm always down to help him out with anything. I'm like, if you're going to fly me out there, I would pay. But, like, I'll gladly come out and film.
Dude, content building is fun when again, I think I run into both of this, like, talk and argument of people who are like, I hate, like, having to do content. And I'm like, you just have to find what you actually enjoy doing and making. I go, and that's like what I've tried to put a little bit more focus on that because that's what I like enjoy. Like in Noise Rock, that's my biggest part. I love music, and music has been a part of my life forever. But I love the combination of it with like entertainment, and I just enjoy that so much. So like last year we went to Plus Fest and we were like a vendor, but that I was like, you know what? I told Bernice, and I'm like, hey, how about we just try to make stuff today? Like, we don't have to run a show. We don't have to do anything. Like, I go, let's just create content. So we did like the little song like game where we were asking people.
Like, and I love that.
And it was so, I was like, dude, when I was filming them, I had a fun time. When I was editing back, I'm like, this is so cool. Like everybody like has such a different music taste. We did one at the Fort Worth Hardcore Fest where we were asking people their hot takes. That one got crazy and funny. And I'm just like, this is fun. Like and that's how I know like what I like doing. I'm like I enjoy watching this.
This is one thing too. I try to hype on and tell people like what you guys are doing is like genius. And I tell people this all the time because like the thing is that has a potential to go virals, like stupid virals. Yeah. That's kind of content. And if you hit the right audience and people find it, like that's more eyes onto your production company or your guys' Noise Right, you know?
Yeah.
More eyes will get to see what your shows are about or people that go to your shows or will see your events because more people start following you.
Yeah, and that's what like my focus is this year. Everybody's got their strength in it, and then my not only I guess strength, but what I am more interested in, I'm like, I want to build that because of that. I go, the more people are able to get to this page or like whatever, the more eyes we get on like, yes, these bands like shows, so they'll get more people at their shows, or even just like when I'll just do like create content for like bands around here, just songs that I like in general. I'm just like, oh, like people need to. That's how I feel. Like people need to hear these. Like, oh, so I want them to get more plays on their stuff, so more people go out to their shows. Not even necessarily like shows that we're throwing, but like if Golden Week has a song that just came out, like, oh, I want to tell everybody about it. So like if they play a show for, any one of these other promoters or anywhere, like I want people to know about them. And if I can help spread more of that, like that's what I want, because I enjoy like this music and I want to.
That's where I am right now with my channel. Like I'm switching my content from reactions, because one thing I found is doing reactions, I've seen a cap. I've done research and I've seen where I've only getting this many views and I haven't got above this many views really. And like every other content creator who does reaction I've seen has been at that limit where there's no one above this many, like say 50,000 subscribers. There's probably a couple above there. I'm not sure. I haven't looked. I've looked. Yeah. But like, just say a number, But like, I don't want to be capped. I want to do content that's endless and will go above and beyond. So I'm switching from my reactions and filming concerts, because even filming concerts, like some of the biggest guys, like Hey56, he's got a ton of subscribers. But when you look at his videos, they're cool. But like, how many views does he get compared to some other channels? And I'm like, do I want to just be getting the same views as him, as one of the top in the scene? Or do I want to get more? How can I get more than that? And if I'm just doing exactly what he's doing, how will I get more? Yeah. So I'm at that point where I'm looking into trying to figure out how I can like combine what I love is making content and funny skits with reactions and showing off bands. So I'm trying to find that good medium of like, hey, we're actually kind of doing a reaction, but in retrospect, it's like, going to be a funny skit video where the bands are going to be spotlighted in the video and people are going to get to hear about them in the skits.
It's also like diversifying your content is just like, again, doesn't limit you to one thing. You can keep creating like all sorts of stuff. That's why like with us, like right now, like if you look at it, like we have the podcast is one of them. We have what's called the Rod at Roost sessions, which is like live sessions and then like an interview thing that DJ does. We do now that we're trying to get out and do like content at events, like short form content in that way. I'm working on a few other things that are going to come out this year that are like we were talking. Like I want to have more shows, like more I guess programs that we would set out. So like the podcast is one thing, but then I started to do like interviews with bands like out and about. So I did one with a band called Sonny Bronco, which played our first show that we ever did, and they came through town. I talked to them, and then I have another few talk. I'm like, okay, that's not what I see as a podcast. That'll be like an actual interview, and it doesn't have to be like artists that we're not at our shows. Like it'll be just artists that I see around that I want to talk to genuinely. So I'm like, we'll find that. I want to do more stuff with us as a group, because that's one of like the biggest strengths that I always see in Noise Route is like our individualities, like, and how everybody's like taste is different, and how everyone's like, again, just it has that sort of thing. And I love too,
because like with everyone's taste being different, like all your shows I see you guys do are like variety. Yeah. So it's not like, hey, every weekend we throw a hardcore show.
Like we love. So that's, again, going back to like, I'm not like, I listen to everything, but I'm like, I enjoy most of the stuff. And I've had that where before, like I think last year I wasn't really like paying attention to the hardcore scene as much. And then last year, like I just had experience after experience. I'm like, this shit is cool. Like this is cool. Like I enjoy this. And then I have my like safe, but I have my safe zone where I'm like, I really like love this band. Then I'll have experience with like a band like the band Laredo, which is more like, I don't know, it's not really country, but it's like country-esque in that. And like I enjoy them a lot now. And it's something that stepped out of my comfort zone. And I'm like, now I like listen to that. But yeah, the group itself is like, we all have like our strengths and like what we enjoy and what we like. But it's cool because we never try to leave like one, genre out because we don't necessarily like it. There's a few we haven't touched on yet. And it's just, I want to make sure whatever we're throwing and pursuing, we want to put together like good lineups of bands and shows that should be enjoyable. And it's like, this is like great. Like I've had like instances where we threw a show, I'm like, this is a really good like lineup. And I believe that because I'm like, we curated these to be like a good like show, and that's what it is. Like I just want to throw shows. I've been to so many like in my life, and then when I got into the scene, like that's what was introduced to me. Like, oh, I was going to these shows and just like these bands are so good. Like, how did I not? Before I was in the scene, I'm like, how did I not know about these bands? I'm like, that's what I want. That feeling and that introduction to like that scene is what I want to offer everybody that we can. Yeah. So that's a big deal. And why we do this, why we do like the Rotted Root sessions, why we do shows, like it's everything. Like the whole thing is like doing cool stuff with cool people. Like that's the bottom line out of it.
Yeah, that's what I love, because that's one of the main reasons I wanted to do Baconfest was I just love this music, and I'm like, let's do I wanted to, because that's what my channel is all about. So I was like, let's do something that celebrates my channel.
Yeah.
And things I love. And it turned out really well for me because I got all my homies and bands I love. And I had a great time. So I was just happy.
Yeah. My first ever experience with like something like that was when I was in a band. We did our EP release show. And then like they're like, oh, you can pick whoever you want to play on this. And I'm like, I literally played with not only my friends, but like some of my favorite bands like in the scene. I'm like, other than playing, I genuinely.
Which show was this?
Oh, this is a while back. This was like in 2017. But our band was Under Oblivion.
Yeah, no, I think I was there.
Yeah, it was like our release show. So we had like, I think we had Back Talk on it. We had Trials of Man when they were around.
I was at that show, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll give you know what I have? And you can have one because I have so many. I have physical copies of like our EP. Like we went all out and like made a booklet, like a lyric booklet and everything. You can definitely have one.
I remember Trials of Man and all of them.
Trials of Man. Yeah, we had Via Verses, which so good to this. But yeah, and that's that bleeding over into like what we do now. I'm like, yeah, we just want to create shows that like are really good. And again, I love that we have the team that we have, because if I don't see a lineup and I'm like, oh, I don't understand this one of us will. And
they're like, yeah.
So even us we're introducing each other to like new stuff. Like when we're getting ourselves to step out of our
like you look at it and you're like, how is this going to sell tickets? Who are these people? And everybody's like, no, trust me. And then you go to the show and you're like, this is packed. Like, this is cool.
No, we've had that quite a bit when I'm like, and it's based on trust and it's based on these things. I'll be like, no, like, believe me, like, this is, like, these bands are going to listen to that. I'm like, all right, cool. And then, like, it does well. Or, we figure out stuff that doesn't do well, like, in all these things. But it's just about, again, enriching the scene that brought us all up.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of, like, where I feel like your mentality is at, based on like the talks that we've had. It's just like you actually like enjoy like these shows, the music and stuff like that, and just are trying to do like your utmost just to keep spreading that and making that a more like positive place.
Yeah, 'cause that's my goal in 2024 is to blow in real life, I want to be as big as Mr. Beast, but we all can't be like Mr. Beast, but eventually I want to get to that level to where I can just say, hey, I'm going to be here at this show and 20,000 people want to come.
Okay.
I could be like, hey, you're going to need a bigger venue.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we can have it here. We got to book somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to put all these bands that I love, and I think everyone else would love if they actually got to hear them, put them onto them,
Yeah.
I want to get that reach to where I can be like, hey, I'm coming out here, and everyone just shows up because I'm there, and then they get to hear all these bands like, wait, this is actually really good music.
Yeah, I think that's a good goal, again, to set, because, again, the goal of it is like, oh, you're using – people are coming out to see me, but they'll also enjoy this out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And being able to just help out, again, all these other bands. Because once you're in any of your local genre scenes or anything, like you start realizing, like, oh, there's a lot of, like, talented people. And then when you see – that's one thing that kind of became apparent to me. I used to only see bands at their top level, and I never in my mind thought about like how they got there. For me, it was just like when I first was getting into like really paying attention to music and stuff, I'm like, oh, well, like they're on, I always remember like Atreyu on MTV and like Census Fail and stuff like that. And seeing them, and I'm like, oh, like they're just there. Like there was no build up. Like there was no like, oh, we started our band in the garage and played a bunch of local shows. Like that never was in my brain until I became part of the scene. I'm like, wait, some of these bands are like, I mean, all of these bands started at somewhere like these. Like most of the bands that I was like into, I'm like, they're all started in places like these. Like they played shows like these. They played the same like empty rooms sometimes. Like everybody has. I played to 4 people. Yeah, everyone's got a story where they played to like.
That was Convictions for me. I went first time I saw them was at the Profit Bar, and when they went on, there was 4 of us in the room.
Really?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
And Mike even said, I will play a show to 4 people if it means someone's going to get touched. And he really did touch my life that show. And I haven't missed a show since. Or I missed one because I had COVID. But I really haven't missed much shows with them. I come and each show gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And it's just cool to see. And that's the one thing, too, with nowadays, too, with me wanting to do what I do is because I realized something. A lot of bands just want to make music and make good music. And it's hard to grow just by doing that nowadays.
Yeah.
You got to be jack of all trades type person. You got to be able to make content, make good content, as well as make good music. And I'm like, well, how can I mediate that to where bands can just focus on themselves and their music and making the best music possible, and I can just show them off without having to have them focus on something else. I could be that, like, kind of like, not like a record label, but kind of that person, hey, if y'all just come on my channel once a month and do a video with me, you're going to get 100 million views on that video. And they're going to see you. And I can put 100 million eyes on your band.
That's one of the exact, like, thoughts that I have, like, why I've, like, done this. I've done this for over 2 years now, and I'm like, I go, dude, I understand what it's like being in a band and being like, I just want to write music, I want to play it, I don't necessarily want to have to focus on it. So if we can like give you content to share and create stuff, you release a song and somebody, and also like the power of like, if somebody like makes a video, like a reaction video, or even just something like when I go, it's like, oh, like this band just released this song, and then make a little clip out of it, like how much that means to like that person, like, oh, someone is hearing it and like seeing it, and like not only like listening, like taking the time to listen to it, but taking the time to like tell other people about it, like means a lot for an artist, and there's enough to keep someone going, you know what I mean, trying. And that's what I want, like, because there's a lot of people who start off and like there's so much discouragement and so much like we were talking about, like the negativity, like that just seems to spread. It's very easy to say something bad about somebody and then that be enough to be like, well, why am I even doing this? And people give up when every band, every artist you've ever like has sucked, like at some point. Like, I mean, you need to be able to let them get through that and figure out how to write their music, how to get better. Reminds me
of an artist I just saw an interview with, Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah.
She's huge now, but like she was on this thing, I think it was it with Jared Leto or someone? It was on a night show, and she was showing off like, this is a recording of my first song, like on a phone with a guitar, and it sounded terrible. Yeah. Like, I'm like, yeah, that's bad.
Yeah.
Like, even she said it was bad, but I'm just like, from there to where she is now, it's just like, it takes time to grow, you know? You're not perfect day one.
Yeah, and if someone like would have heard that and just like berated like this down, like that, again, who knows what that decision is, like, oh, well, should I even keep trying? That's why, like, I don't, the same aspect, it's why I stopped necessarily like trying to, like, if it might be corny, it might be cheesy, but like if I don't have anything like really good to say about something, like I'll just like either not say anything, or I'll focus on like, because I've had songs that I've listened to and I'm just like, I don't like this song, but I like this. So I'm like, cool, I will talk about, hey, this, you know, this guitar part was really sick, or I like the way your lyrical direction went, something like that. But I won't be like, this song sucks, like I hate it and blah, 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 like publicly to like tell more people to spread like whatever negativity. I can think about whatever it is like, I want, but I don't want to try to, again, discourage someone to keep trying, because I just know for myself, you know, what I released at the end versus what I started singing, like, there's a big difference.
Everyone grows, and the thing I'm on right now is I'm trying to be on my honest phase this year, where I'm going to be honest with people and tell them straight up, hey, I'm going to tell them it's bad, but I'm telling them you can get better. Like, I'm going to let them know, hey, this is like, my friend's a YouTuber, and every video you post, I've been watching it now. And I've been giving them pointers on them, like, hey, I would, you know, this is great. I would change this, though, because right here in this part, I was like, I wanted to click off because it was just boring me. It was boring to me. As an average viewer, I would get bored at this part and want to click off.
Yeah.
But since I'm your friend, I'm going to watch the whole thing so I can see what can be fixed. And that's what I joined a community called Creator Now. And there's a bunch of there's like a couple hundred other YouTubers in there. And we all just talk YouTube and about YouTube, and they help criticize. Like, we have a thing, feedback tool, where you can post your videos and people can give you critiques like, hey, right here was boring, I would add music to this, or I would cut this and change it with this. And it really just helps me grow as a content creator and making content. It's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. It's like, I'm looking at my video, I'm watching a thing, and this is great, and then they're like, hey, I would do this. I'm like, seeing it under new eyes, seeing it what they say, and I'm like, actually, yeah, you're right. I would change that.
Yeah, being open to like an honest criticism.
Yeah.
Like there's also you have to learn how to.
There's a fine line between honest and just hating something.
Just hating. So you have to learn how to like discern that line to be like, who's just talking crap just to talk crap, and who's legitimately being like, this would help. And I have experienced that, and I have a hard. I normally get really defensive, so I let myself have a moment to get defensive. So before I respond to anything, I'm like, okay, like let me listen to it, what they're saying, and I'm like, okay, and discern, like, are you just saying something you have you don't know what you're talking about, or are you genuinely like, oh, this is honest? Because again, you're creating stuff, and there is an audience, so like the audience is seeing it a certain way that you might not be seeing, or they are catching things that you're not.
Yeah, because like my friend, my friend always tells me, 2 eyes are better than one.
Yeah.
So like before I do things now, I usually send it to people just so they can look at it before I upload and be like, hey, what do you think? And they'll be like, hey, like I was going to release my music. I sent it to my friend. He's like, hey, there's like a whole minute afterwards of just blank noise. And I was like, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
And I went back to the editing software, cut that blank noise out, and I fixed it. But I was like, oh, yeah, thank you for catching that, Big mistake I missed, but like.
And again, again, just learning how to take criticism well, knowing who it's coming from. Like, is it coming from someone who's actually trying to be supportive, or is it coming from someone who just wants to make you feel terrible? And then in most cases, I've ran into like a lot of friends who are like, man, I wish somebody would have said something. Like, because then like now I put this out, and now that's a reflection of me, and I could have done something about it or made it better or this and that. Because I don't like when people are blatantly telling somebody, I'm like, this is amazing, and yourself then, like, this isn't.
Yeah.
Like you needed to work on it. Especially if you're friends. If you're a stranger, then I don't care. Like, I'm not gonna tell you like anything. Like, because again, you're not going to trust me, like, because we don't have that connection.
Yeah.
But if we're friends, then yes, I'm gonna be as honest as possible. If you ask me, I'm not just gonna be like, hey, this blah blah.
That's the thing. You gotta. It's like I learned this from one of my pastors. He was like, they gotta give you permission for you to be honest to them. Like if they don't do that, then you're gonna like. They're not going to receive it well, know? If they haven't give you permission to be brutally honest with them and criticize them, they're going to receive it as you're hating on them.
Yeah.
But like a lot of my friends that allow me to do that, they receive it as, oh, you're right. Thank you for actually telling me, they fixed it. And every time, like my friend's videos he posts, ever since I've been telling him, every video gets better and better. Mm-hmm. I'm like, hey, I would do this and this, and he implements that, and I'm like, yo, this is so much better.
Yeah, because if you're wanting to hear it, then you're gonna listen to it for what it actually is. Versus if you're like aren't ready to receive like whatever criticism or this and that, you're gonna take it immediately. Just like my gear would turn to like I don't care what you say, even if it's helpful, because I don't want to hear it. But if people are ready for it and want to, then they're actually going to take that, which is the point. Like, I'm saying this so you get better, and they'll take it and actually create something better. But no, I think you're doing a good job with that. I feel like, again, most all the times when I see you, it's like a positive like experience. Like that feels like that's the energy you're bringing. So I'm excited for the music. So I guess we'll touch on that.
Quick,
yeah.
I want to say one thing. If people make flyers, please, just for me. None of this like deathcore font that I can't read.
That's a hot take.
I love it. It looks sick, but I can't read it. And if I don't know your band or there's no link, you can do it, but just at least post like what do you call it, a tag, where I can click on your band, so I can know so I can find who you are, so I actually know I want to go see you. Because like if I don't know what this band is and I can't read, leather chair writing, like. I'm not gonna know how to find the bands. That's just my hot take.
That's the hot take.
I want to be able to know who these bands are, where they come from, so I can actually find them, look them up, and listen to them before I go to a show, and actually see who they are and to see if I want to go. Instead of just like, there's a flyer of 10 bands. I have no idea who these bands are. I'm probably not gonna go, and a lot of people may not go either, just because of that reason alone. They don't know who they are on that flyer. And that's just I've had that conversation with some people, and we're just like, who are these people? And then, unless you're like a higher band, like was it Sango Sugabog or whatever? That's an iconic one. I've seen that so many times and heard that band so many times. I see that rating. Oh, that's them.
Okay.
But like for local bands, at least tag them, people, so I can like know who they are and find them easier.
You definitely need to be tagging them. That way you can everything that lead them back to the actual bands. Yeah, everybody should be tagging on everything. Before we wrap this up, I just want to touch on your music again. So that's coming out soon, right? From what you're saying?
Yeah, March 1st. Got
March 1st.
My EP, I call 4-song EP. I don't know if it's considered EP, but 4 songs off of a thing called Last Summer.
Nice. What's your? Do you have a general concept of like your lyrical content for that?
All about love.
Yeah,
they're all love songs. Well, most of them are. Some of them are about like wondering if she actually likes me. And then I have like a song like of me wishing I can go back last summer and tell the girl I saw and met that I actually like her, and kind of like remiss like on that aspect of thinking, why didn't I do this? Maybe things would be different. Maybe we'd actually be together right now, and I wouldn't be wondering what would be if I told her. And so just music like that. Okay. And then I have one song called "Great Guy." It's one of my personal favorites. It's not really the best sounding song, I think, but I lyrically, I just think it's cool, and a lot of people could relate to it because it's a song basically about you're best friends with this chick. You think there's something there. You guys went out. You thought it was you were dating. Really, she just thinks you're a great guy and doesn't like you that way.
Happens, man.
Yeah,
yeah. I think we all learned that one. That's cool. Okay. And then March 1st, it said, "Take me back to last summer," or what was it?
Last summer.
Last summer. Okay.
Yeah, last summer.
Okay.
Thanks to my boy Ethan. He took a photo and posted it in our group chat, and I was like, "Hey, can I use this?" It was like a nature shot of some bridge, and I was like, "This looks so cool. Can I use it for like my cover?" And he was like, "Yeah, go ahead." So I used it, and
Last Summer is gonna be out March 1st. New content coming from Moshing Bacon. The artist, all that stuff is releasing under Moshing Bacon, right?
Yeah,
cool.
I want to keep it under the same name, so that way anyone who wants to find me can just look up Moshing Bacon and find it, so they don't have to think twice about where to find my stuff.
Okay. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you stopping by. This was awesome. Actually, extra appreciation because you actually brought and made homemade tortillas and brought them to me. So I thought that was, you were like, it's like, "Hey, do you like tortillas?" I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Shoot, like, I made me a dozen too.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And just thank you for doing everything you're doing and being, again, honest, and feels like you're honest and true to yourself, which is, again, one of like the most like important things that I feel as I've gone through like music and people I meet. And so like I just genuinely enjoy people who are genuine to themselves. You know what I mean? It's very refreshing, and it's cool to see, and it's cool to see like just what you're doing out there and just literally just trying stuff, and it's so dope. But yeah, everything Moshing Bacon, go look them up, and yeah, some new music coming out. But yeah, I appreciate you stopping by. This has been episode 98 with Moshing Bacon. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. We will see you next time.
And y'all know what to do already. All my fans are watching this. Stay bacon, but not too greasy.
There you go.
Sounds and breakdowns.